From AMUG 2021 in Orlando, Florida, on Thursday, May 6th in the Orange Main Stage Ballroom during the last session of the week. This is the Dyndrite AMUG wrap-up. The lively roundtable session included leaders across the additive manufacturing ecosystem, featuring Anthony Graves of HP, Ben Ferrar with Carpenter Additive, Michelle Bockman of 3D Control Systems, David Tucker with Forecast 3D, Jen Ferello of HP, Kristin Mulherin, and Rachael Dalton-Taggart of Dyndrite. I was honored to moderate this panel, and we also included special guests from the room while answering questions and reflecting on each other's related AMUG 2021 highlights. We're here at AMUG 2021. Michelle, I think everybody could hear you now. How's everything going over there?
It's great. We just wrapped up a long week at AMUG. Had a lot of fun in the evenings and spent days in the expo area learning more and more about products. So it's been a great week.
Cool. Awesome. And Kristin, how are you doing over there? Are you able to get your mic going? Everything sounding good?
Yeah, I think so. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I think for me this week, I get the most value, I think, out of just talking to people at the different sessions that are not non-sessions, lunch, dinner, casino night, the amusement park. And I think it's interesting because several of the people that are here, I think were some of my favorite things. I got a lot of demos this week of some pretty cool software, and I thought that was pretty cool. So the Twicket guys showed me this new software they're launching on latticing. I got Michelle's demo on her product, her new product that's coming out, and then of course the HP guys. Philip gave a great demo on the UBM, so it was fun to see all these things in action.
Awesome. And I know we got Shannon on stage now. Shannon, can you hear us?
It sounds good. Yep.
Awesome to hear that.
Are you here, Shannon? Are you in the building?
I am. I just ran upstairs to answer some emails. This is literally the first session I've had since it started that I didn't have my own session happening. So
awesome. Well, glad you could join us up here for a little while. We are sitting in the Orange Room, which was the main presentation room of AMUG 2021. And of course, this is the end of the session. So we're just wrapping up here with this group to talk a little bit about what happened and our own experience with AMUG 2021. And Dyndrite had the spot here, so we're happy to have them put this on for us and able to talk a little bit more about what happened and our enjoyment of the whole week. It's been wild. I mean, AMUG in itself, obviously it was canceled last year because of this thing called the pandemic we're all going through. But now here we are, and it's been amazing. I had a lot of thoughts about what this would be like, and I was thinking maybe it wouldn't be or feel like an AMUG, but I don't know about the rest of you, but it sure has felt like AMUG to me. It's been a great week. A lot of great people, a lot of great presentations, a lot of great talks. Yeah, even the excursion, wow, right? Surprised us with Universal Studios. Had a great time out there, and it's just been about connecting and talking with people and really what we do is push the industry forward and share what we know, share our knowledge, and try to build our community. And the community has felt like a community here at AMUG, so it's good to have that. And I know we have Ben on stage too, who's just setting up. I don't know if you're ready or not yet, buddy, but
yeah, I'm good to go. The power bank's in.
All right. So how things been for you, Ben?
Yeah, I think it's been a really good week. I always like these things, right? Because when people come together, you get that feeling of positivity from the industry. And certainly the one thing that stayed with me from this week, from everyone I talked to, whether it be service bureaus or machine tool manufacturers, was the fact that coming out of the pandemic, people are well positioned in their organizations and are seeing good opportunities and growth, right? And not necessarily from the markets that we were used to, right? We always used to, within additive and especially metal, have a focus on aero and medical. This week, I've heard more about oil and gas, transportation, energy than I ever have before at one of these events. So it's a really positive sign for the industry.
Yeah, and I guess what did you notice? I guess also what I've noticed this year as far as of course, international travel was not available, so we're missing our international colleagues. But we do have some in the house.
Yeah, the guys from Twicket managed to get in. They found some loophole.
There you go.
And here, they also got their
They're
vaccine.
sitting in the audience here along with about 500 other people. We're here in the Orange Ballroom having a good time, wrapping up AMUG 2021 to talk about our experiences here. And I see Rachael over there, and you've organized this, and so thank you very much. How was your thoughts on what happened this week, Rachael? Oh, she's holding on.
There we go.
There she is. All right. Welcome, Rachael.
All right. For all the hundreds of people that are here, if you're wondering why I'm wearing sunglasses indoors, it's because they're my Bose headset. and they are really awesome, except they are sunglasses, so I'm sitting here with these on.
A note from our
AMUG
sponsor, Bose Eyewear.
Right. So AMUG has been amazing. It's been crazy. And one of the things that actually has been positive, or a positive that came out of a negative, the negative was that none of the big OEMs turned up. And,
Right.
So we're missing, SLM, 3D Systems, Stratasys, EOS. But one of the things that's been really good, and I've been sort of talking to a lot of the OEMs that are here, all the exhibitors, is that the lack of those big established companies has meant that there has been much more sunlight on the smaller vendors, right? Because they're not being overshadowed. And so I think that's been very, very positive. Yeah, we've got about half the people here, slightly less than half that would normally turn up, right? But that half really sort of saw a lot of new companies and a lot of different companies, as opposed to just being, looking at the big companies. And so I think that's been a really good positive for this event.
Those are some great points. It has been. It's been something a little bit smaller, and that was my point with the international travel. We also saw less of the... Oop, you're absolutely right. All right, great point there, Rachel. And for those that couldn't hear me, I was talking while on mute, as usual. But no, we're just talking a little bit. I was saying a little bit about the international travel, relating to also what happened with some of the bigger companies that aren't here, but also made it a nice, really nice, snug community of people really getting to chat a little more than usual because not so large. So that's been nice. Yeah. How's it going over there, David?
No, I completely agree about the company size. That was the thing I wanted to really comment on is, really the value in this group is the interactions between, different users. Not a large company just try to get some pizzazz and, position products, but really it's the relationships that you build with people. That's really the core of the event. I think I spoke with more people around real business development and real innovation here, and how to advance the technology than I have in previous years with a smaller conference. It's cool.
Yeah, it's true. How about you, Andrew? How's it going over there?
It's good. I would agree. This is my first AMUG, but just not necessarily the sessions themselves, but being able to connect with colleagues, just people that you've been talking to through email and, virtually for a while, and then coming back and then just running into people that you have common interest in or a connection has been awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been really fun this week, I think, bumping in. There's all these people that you only know them from, the neck up. And the thing that I found really funny is everyone's a different height than I expected them to be. Like, people I thought were tall are short and vice versa. It's been really weird.
I thought it felt like a high school reunion.
Oh,
like
totally.
We hadn't seen each other in so long. It's like, and then there's the awkwardness in the first interaction was like, do you shake hands? Mm-hmm. Do you just nod your head? Do you give a fist bump, an elbow bump? What is the right way to address someone? And then you just catch up.
I liked the level of mask wearing.
Yes.
Dropped dramatically for the first day because we realized we're all just in the soup together.
Yeah, and a lot of people were vaccinated. So I think the majority of the people I talked to were.
That is true. It's been wild. I hope everybody comes out of this healthy, but it seems like at least the vaccinations were there. There were a lot of precautions made, but we've always gotten a little loose over the week. But at the same time, I think for the most part, people have paid attention to the protocols out there and all the hand sanitizers and all that good stuff. But it made for a bit of a different AMUG, but I felt like it was AMUG because we've had communities here in the past and you feel like you're with the community, and I felt that at this particular event. So for that, I'm grateful because it's wrapping up now, as we all can see that are here in the ballroom. But at the same time, it's been a heck of a week. So just happy to be here now. Jen, how you doing over there? You're not on? Okay, we'll leave you alone then. She's hanging out on Facebook. All right. Well,
Wrong app.
So anybody from the audience have any questions? If you want to raise your hand, you can come up on here and join us on stage. We'd love to talk to you, hang out a bit. And if you also want to press the plus button at the bottom of the screen, you could add more people to the room or ping some people in here, and we'll continue the conversation for a while. We just wanted to touch base and wrap up the event this way, kind of having a nice conversation about what's going on. Would you like to come over and grab the microphone and talk a little bit? All right. We have someone from the audience here in the room, in the ballroom. It is Paulina Pepperkin from Twicket. And we're going to give her the microphone. Hold on. She's got the second microphone here. How you doing, Paulina?
Hi. It's so awesome to be here. Very happy to see everybody as well. So a few years ago, it was all about new materials. Then Thank you. Then, a couple of years ago, it was all about metals. We saw metals popping up everywhere. What do you guys think is the hottest thing in additive right now? What is everybody talking about?
Great question. Hottest thing in additive. Who wants to grab that one? Michelle?
There's a lot of people talking about
David?
staff.
Yeah.
For
sure.
I actually think that's probably, and it might be because I used to work at HP, so everyone wants my opinion. So it might be my own bias because I was, I know a lot about area wide printing and powder bed fusion technologies, but that's at least 70% of what people talk to me about. That and software. What kind of software? It seems like there's 50 MES companies that are all in the same space.
It is, and we were in a triangle where I could see all of us. And it was nice because we're all fairly small companies and talking to each other. And Twicket's here, and and Optum is here, and 3-Year Mind, and Link 3D, and I'm sure there's some more that I'm forgetting, but it's that workflow management.
Yeah, that's kind of boils down to the manufacturing side of it, right? We're additive manufacturing. When you got a manufacturing execution system and MES, it means you're in the big game now, right? So that's where the growth is coming, and it's a sign of the times that we're coming of age in additive manufacturing. Once again, this is another wave we're riding right now. But yeah, the software side's been huge this year. I see all the SPACs out there too. I mean, I never knew what that was before this year. There's been a lot of acquisitions and things that help bring money into the game and help grow the industry. So that's been very interesting to see, and I guess that was reflected on the floor today with the amount of MES systems that are there, but it's a good sign of the times. We're growing. It's happy to see that, and it's happy to see the growth. Anyone out there from the stage that want to come up and talk a little bit, go ahead and raise your hand and come on up, and we'll bring you up. Oh, we got Greg Waters coming up, inviting him as a speaker. All right, Greg, how you doing from England?
I'm doing all right. I've got to tell you, I'm massively, massively jealous of all of you being at a conference right now.
Wait till you hear more about Universal Studios.
Don't. That was going to be my question.
No lines.
No, I'm really interested to find out, actually, just with a lot of the bigger vendors not attending, just how it kind of affected the dynamic. Was it when you're saying no EOS, no SLM, that kind of thing? Was it more startups, or was it just other companies where they wouldn't normally be occupying the middle of the room? And how did that affect the week and how it went for everybody?
Anybody want to attack that? Who we got?
I think it was actually more about outcomes of printers than about speeds and feeds of printers. Is kind of, because these smaller companies they're trying to build businesses with different capabilities, with different customer bases. And so it's you get really deeper application discussions. And I think that sometimes OEMs and larger companies, they try to talk applications because I think that's the best way to talk about your products. But it's, sometimes it's, it's a stretch. So smaller companies typically have the battle scars of actually proving out how the technology worked, what didn't work, what prevented it from scaling in these different applications are really authentic about talking about what the struggles are. And I think I saw that as one of the differences.
And to add to that, I love the fact that, HP and Dyndrite had a booth together, a startup and, or not. But what I was going to say is I like the fact that you have, an established company working with a startup and really trying to do something that is quite different than what we've seen before. And so I didn't get to see all the sessions, but, I went by the booth and learned a little bit more. And so, Anthony, I don't know if you want to say anything else, because I thought it was
Well,
really
I have to say something now, don't I? This is Anthony from HP. We're good friends. Michelle's a alumnus. How many people worked at HP here or are working at HP now? Ooh, excellent.
Just a softball question just to set you up, Anthony.
For those at home, that was 90% of the people in this room.
Yeah, no. HP, it's a big company. It's so myself and some of my colleagues from HP, from a new group inside of HP, Digital Manufacturing Software Group, we had committed to attend AMUG months ago because we actually licensed Dyndrite, and we announced a new product back in the fall, which is a universal build manager that's specifically geared towards automation, very high volume automation type solutions. So not something that you would expect, something like a Magix or a NetFab or a tool like that, but something different. And so it's built on top of the Dyndrite kernel. And just a quick plug for them, it's an accelerated computational engine, the ACE engine. Think of it like Parasolids is to a CAD tool like SolidWorks, ACE is to our tool. And so it's kind of hard to demo an engine. And so our front end application was a tool that they wanted to use to be able to demonstrate some of the capabilities of that engine that you're going to hear more and more about in the future. So even though HP, like some of the big folks, the EOSs and Stratasys and Carbon and others that weren't able to make it here to the show, we were still here helping out Dyndrite, a new up-and-comer in the industry. So I will just tell you that I was incredibly impressed with the event. I thought it was definitely the best conference I've ever been to, period, in any industry. And I've been around a while. And the speakers were fantastic. The ability to meet with everybody, like David from Forecast and others, was really cool. And I don't think it took anything away that the big companies weren't here, because there's been a lot of innovation, especially like SLM with their 12 laser machine. But recently, and others, and Stratasys making announcements, and 3D Systems and others. But I think it made it a little bit more intimate. But I will say one thing, and that's this: for the people, when it's smaller, the people have a bigger voice. And for the big companies, I think they sort of missed out by not being here, because AMUG, the attendees of this event, are the people who are most vocal and influential within the additive manufacturing community. And if you're not here to talk to them, then you miss out. And so I'm glad we were fortunate to be able to come and meet with a lot of folks. I think we benefited from it. So
great point, Anthony. That's Anthony Graves sharing the microphone, or my particular profile here on Clubhouse, for those wondering why my voice changed there. But yeah, we're both sharing a mic here. So you'll hear a few different people under my profile here talk that are here on the stage without a Apple phone. So anyhow, we did have Roxanne join us on stage. Roxanne Warren from Link 3D. Roxanne, how's it going?
Hey, everyone. Just fine. What a great, I caught you, Anthony, the last part of what you were saying, and I really agree. I think the bigger OEMs really missed out. But frankly, this was one of the best we've ever had, and some of the best conversations with people. It was amazing.
Can I ask a question based on that? Do we think, or does the panel think that the things like Rapid and FormNext later in the year, do you think they could learn something? I know this was kind of forced on them to an extent, but do they think you could learn a little bit about what the format looks like, or how do we think that would go?
Hey, Greg.
People have enjoyed it so much.
I just want to jump in real quick, and then I promise I'm going to be quiet before the rest of the folks here throw stuff at me. Here's
you're
my
not.
opinion. Not that everybody wants to hear my opinion, but here's my opinion. I hope that those other events don't become like AMUG, because first of all, they're not going to be AMUG. Second of all, then all of a sudden, everybody's going to have to start going to 15 different events to have these important conversations. It's not manageable. I think that those events, FormNext, for example, is awesome. You get to see everybody in the industry. So if you're speccing out what you're getting ready to invest in over the next couple of years, that's the place to go. In Europe, although probably a significant number of attendees are from the States, vice versa for Rapid. Those shows may be a little bit smaller this year if they continue to happen because of COVID. But I think that those shows are more trade shows, and this is a conference where the objectives are different. So I personally hope it stays like that.
Great points. Great points. Anyone else have opinions on the differences between what's been going on in some of the trade shows and this one?
No, I mean, I think from my perspective, I would absolutely agree with Anthony. I mean, and for those who may not really remember, this is not supposed to be a sales pitch type of event, which is where you get your Rapids and your FormNext, et cetera. And so that's a great place for that. But, I'm agreeing. I would rather this not ever turn into a Rapid or FormNext ever. And I'm very grateful that AMUG works so diligently to prevent that from happening. So
makes sense. Thank you so much, Roxanne. And we have Jennery, who's just joined us on stage. And I know you have your own podcast for Latinx. And also I got a good chance to hang out with you here. How was your experience this year, Jennery?
Yeah, it was awesome. This is actually the first time I come to AMUG. And I come from a chemicals background, so I've been to other chemical conferences, and I did get this feeling that it's a very tight-knit community, and everybody is so friendly and looking to really connect and advance the field of additive manufacturing, which is something very unique, I think, about the industry, where people are really trying to collaborate to advance it. And it's great because there isn't that huge competition. I think we all understand that there are many moving pieces in this segment, and we really need to collaborate and work together in order to fulfill the potential of the industry.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for sharing. We're here at AMUG 2021, just doing a wrap up of events, a kind of round panel conversation with the people in the room and outside of the room on Clubhouse. So glad to have people join us here. Anyone else in regards to what their thoughts about moving back out of Orlando and going back into the normal facilities? We won't be coming back here next year.
When was this? Who made this decision? Was this all AMUG members made this decision?
Oh, God, such a great city, right? Such a fun time here in Orlando. I grew up here, spent 26 years of my life here, so it's good to be back home again. I live in Austin, Texas now. But yeah, there's so many things to do in Central Florida in general, but we ended. I think
back to Chicago
next year.
I mean, I think the only reason
2 years, next 2 years
in Chicago, next 2 years. There we go, Ben.
Wow.
Thanks for filling us in. So yeah, it's not going to be in Orlando, but we had a good time while we're here. That's for sure. But yeah, it's been an excellent event. A lot of great things. The Hilton's been great. Being hosted in here is wonderful. Even with all the sound issues we had getting set up, they were right there with us, helping us out. Food's been good. Food's always good at AMUG. Part of your ticket price there, and just kind of. I saw someone making a gesture about drinks. So,
yeah, we were told we were going to have beer and wine.
I'm going to let it out.
Where are the drinks?
Yeah.
Where's the wine?
Where's the wine? We don't have any drinks in here. I could use some water right now. I could barely talk. But
we should plug the Hilton because people came in from all over the United States. I came in from Charlotte, was excited to be able to land and take off the mask, and then lo and behold, the county that we're in had a mask mandate, which the governor rescinded. Unfortunately, nobody got the notice about that. But the point is that the Hilton had people coming in from all over with different expectations, and I think they were very accommodating, incredibly professional, very nice, having to deal with folks like me and then nice folks. They were awesome. They were great. The facility's been fantastic. The service, amazing. People, I have never been to a facility that's been catered by the hotel where the people have been that professional, just looking after all of the attendees across the entire facility. That's why I'm sort of sad to see it leave. And I think they've earned a spot maybe 3 years from now to get this event back, because I don't know how anyone could provide better customer service than they have here at the Hilton.
And the food was good. And it was warm when you got it. And I totally agree.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about it being here is the sweltering heat. The dinner last night outside.
But there was a pool
killer
and a lazy river and a hot tub. So come on now.
That's right.
We do have to say what last night was about. What we did.
And last night,
I think was really
our
fun.
evening dinner was a hangout casino night type of a dinner where you could hang out and gamble fake money and win some fun prizes.
You mean the Bitcoin we all won is not real?
Oh, well, we weren't supposed to share about the Bitcoin we all have now. Well, everybody's got a $45,000 token.
Taking back those resignations
Everybody wins.
Emailed in last night.
Yeah, everybody wins.
I thought those were tokens I was using at the blackjack table. So you're telling me they're not?
We have someone else that just joined us on stage. Justin, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you up there. Justin Levy is just joined the stage. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Just been busy with school and hanging out and coming to listen.
Yeah, so real quick, buddy, why don't you tell the room what you're doing? Because, the next generation is a big part of 3D printing, and I know you've been in the online groups, and if you have a minute to tell everybody what you're up to, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm a junior in high school right now, and I love making and pretty much doing anything that I can with 3D printing, electronics, and I'm working on a couple projects, working with this guy named Paul, on an open source smartwatch that has a 3D printed case. And so I'm working on some of the code for that right now. And it's been tons of different projects. Just the Hack the Machine a couple weeks ago. It's been really awesome working with a lot of people in this community.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. We had Evan here with the Cocoa Press handing out the chocolate cards. If anybody had a chance to get that was amazing. See a lot of heads nodding over here, but he was another gentleman, young man, I should say, that was in our online group and decided to come here. It's been good to have some of the Build Volume crew here at AMUG, and I see Rohit in the house. So I don't know if you had anything to share, buddy. Good to have you here.
Thank you. I jumped up mostly to tell Justin to use this as his opportunity to pitch Anthony and Ben on getting him free printing done.
Well, Anthony has run off, but Ben's laughing. So, Ben, what do you think about that?
It depends what it is. You should reach out. We'll have a look.
Thank you.
And I see Rohit is shuffled off stage after making that comment. Okay. All right.
Hey, Adam, one more thing real quick for everyone, just more of an FYI. I happened to be in the bar area, I guess it was Monday or Tuesday night, and because I'm equally as disappointed that we're moving this back to Chicago. This whole experience has been amazing, but the representatives from the Chicago Hilton were actually on site for a couple days.
That is true. They've been here
trying to understand, how everything is going here and really taking best practices. The hope is they'll take best practices back to Chicago. So we'll see what they learned, I guess, next year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a part of the Hilton. They were actually here coming down from Chicago to rep and to talk to people and kind of let them know that.
So they were just trying to learn for us for next year.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yes, yeah. So their investment is full into us. And they even said for people holding events. So if anybody listening that wants to reach out to the Hilton in Chicago, they said they're really giving some great packages for our crew and welcome us to do any business meetings up there. And Hilton's been great. So yeah, looking forward to what they do for AMUG in the next couple years. It sounds like we'll have it up there. So good stuff. And
hey, Adam. So Sean Hopwood from Dyndrite has popped up on stage.
Is he up there? Sean, oh my gosh, welcome, buddy. Good to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having this. This is a great little gathering you guys have put together. Wish I could be there.
Yeah, well, your team did a great job here. So
I have a question about...
I was looking for you.
So I have a question about what it was actually shown at the event. So were there any significant either software or hardware companies that really impressed the team there? Is there anything that really stood out that we should pay attention to?
Anybody? I did real quick. I did two booth interviews because there wasn't many machines on the floor, especially machines that were running, but there were a few, about a handful. And there were two machines here. There was a Massivit 3D that has a new Anthony. What was your impressions about Massivit?
That was insane. They had, unfortunately, I think there was Massivit and Titan, which were very similar.
Titan Robotics was out there too.
Massivit is a company that was born from some of the folks that helped start Objet, and so smart folks. And the machine was very, very impressive. A multi-head sort of FDM type machine with all new technology, not using any of the current technology, probably for stay away from patent infringements, but really innovative stuff. What was impressive was the quality of the things that they were doing and the size. They were full scale, like car seats that didn't have to be glued together. They had this incredible Hawk, which was polished and it's people, a lot of aerospace and automotive applications and things. But there are other industries like the media and entertainment industry that can benefit from tools like this, where people that traditionally model makers and prop makers are going to start looking to leverage tools like these 3D tools. So not necessarily that they're going to buy one, but company, and I know that David left, but from Forecast, but I could see somebody like Forecast buying a couple of those machines and then being a provider to Hollywood for props, because the resolution, it used to be you get these giant cheesy parts that were low res, and you'd have to be desperate to use it, and they were very expensive. Now you're getting like really high res, very large parts, and I'm sure the cost isn't that expensive either. So I was really impressed. I agree with you. They were a standout along with Titan too.
Yeah. Massivit actually will be releasing 2 booth videos that I did interviews inside of there for Massivit 3D and Titan Robotics. So be on the lookout for those with a little more information from them and a view of the machines. But yeah, they were actually running in there. It was great to see them. The Massivit 3D uses a gel system. So that's they make their own materials. And then the Titan Robotics team do something with pellets for materials, but both, and they incorporate CNC work also in the machine. So it's interesting to see those 2 combined in one machine, and it was running there on the floor. So yeah, I'll have a little more information on a couple of videos coming out I did in their booths, but interesting to see that. Again, there wasn't many machines, but those were neat to see.
The other thing was, and I hate to use the wrong acronym because I don't know, but there were companies like Envision Tech, Lux Creo. I don't want to leave anyone out that was in that particular type of SLA type machine. The death of SLA, I think, is premature. They say the death of SLA. And the reason these materials people are coming out with, I saw the parts that they were producing in the times that they were producing them in. That's incredible. Absolutely amazing. And it used to be a joke when there were only like 3 or 4 processes back in the day. That, if you needed a part that didn't melt in the backseat of your car on the way home from work, you got it made in FDM and ABS. Yeah. Otherwise, the part was going to be worthless. Certainly, and now people are printing like dental aligners that are, crystal clear, beautifully, geometrically perfect. Very, very impressive stuff. And engineered type parts as well. So, and there are, there's a lot of innovation going on, and that's what struck me too. None of the companies that I saw here slacked off during COVID. Yeah. They really have done some impressive things. So I'm looking forward to the fall because the trade show season is coming around, and I do want to see all those other machines that people announced in the last couple of weeks, and a flurry of announcements probably before AMUG intentionally. I want to see those. And so I'm excited. I think this is a perfect time of year, and it's warm enough in Chicago. I know they're not going to have any Bourbon Trail, what are the lazy river parties up in Chicago, but hey, you got to come to AMUG if you want to find out what that's all about. And you must be 21 in the United States to consume alcohol.
There you go. No, that's a great point.
In public.
I'd love to throw out a question. We're all pretty heavily on the polymer side here, except for Ben. And so I'll throw a question out to Ben and see, same question, essentially, like, did you see anything on the metal side that was super interesting?
Again, right, I think it just comes back to the amount of validation that people are doing. And I guess it wasn't necessarily a solution that I saw. The problem that I heard people talking about was, back to standards, still saying that we don't have good enough standards, which, I mean, most of the people who come to AMUG are not the type of people who want to spend hours and hours, like, in detail talking about standards. And I had more people having conversations with me about that this week than I have prior, because they feel, or people feel in the industry like they're wasting time doing a validation for customer A, a validation for customer B, a validation for customer C, and they want to get past that and have some standards that they can really recognize and look at. And the second thing is, and that was a key theme that I heard, was with all the rise of various software and MES type businesses, for example, right, we're still missing that data connectivity all the way through the metals process, right? We still have design separated from materials, separated from machines, separated from post-processing. And I think that over the next 12 months, 24 months, there has to be big strides in standards, and it may even just be standards for data, right? How do we what APIs can we use so we can link everything together? Because unless we can get control of those variables, we can't really have standards, right? We can't really have that validated process.
This is a problem. I mean, the good news for the additive manufacturing industry is all these problems, most of them have been already solved in subtractive injection molding and stuff. So, I make the observation that as someone that's relatively new to additive, the last maybe 7-8 years, it always amazes me where additive tries to solve these traditional problems in some new and amazingly creative way. And it's validation is validation. why would you try to create a new way to validate something unless you make it smarter? Like you, for example, the recipes are built into the data and it's in man readable, so you can print out the data and you have your documentation, which we talked about in one of the sessions earlier this week. And so there's talks about like connectivity. I was going around talking to a bunch of the OEMs on the metal side. I would like to find out what you thought about the folks at Exact with their smaller metals machine, which is pretty sweet from the parts that I saw coming off of it. But there was a talk about standardizing on either OPC-UA. Some people talked about MT Connect. I'm not going to make a comment about that, but I just encourage everyone to go look at the success of that standard over in the subtractive world and count how many variations of that standard, which by itself means it's not a standard, there are. But OPC-UA is an example where hopefully a lot of the companies are coming around. I know there's a standards committee in Germany that's working aggressively with most of the major OEMs to try to make that happen. But it's a good point, and it's also security, DRM, all those other aspects you're talking about.
I think ASDM are generally doing a really good job of driving that, and there's their conference in, I think it's November time. I can't remember where it is, but
they also have a recent Dyno Award winner that joined ASTM. So
yeah, shame.
Shane Collins won a Dyno Award this year.
He's unfortunately his blackjack is not as good as his
casino night did not. I didn't do well either. I won like about $900,000 in tickets and 0 table prizes. So yeah, it really bummed me out. But yeah, I'm a sore loser. That's right. So we brought up some of the conference tracks, some of the sessions. Let's talk about some people's favorite sessions, they said. And, I moderated a panel on the DED with a bunch of great knowledge. Norsk Titanium, of course, Carl Johnson, over 40 years in aerospace program manager that now has been at Norsk heading up additive. Really good insight from him on the DED process, along with Yash Bhandari from Meltio. And then the third one was Lucas Brewer from Optimec talking about their different processes. So that was one I enjoyed, but I also visited a lot of different sessions going on. One of them that was interactive. I like to have interactive sessions instead of people just up there talking from PowerPoint. But so what are some of y'all's favorite sessions you actually attended while here? Anyone?
So I with my role here this week, I didn't get much chance to get out to sessions. And so, I got out to a few. But one of the things I really want to say is that Todd Grimm, in the initial keynote, doing the highlights and insights, and, he was talking to me about it the night before, and he learns, he literally memorizes all of the vendors' insights and highlights and all this sort of stuff. So he's not reading off a PowerPoint. He's just, riffing on stage. And he just does such a damn good job. And I just wanted to sort of bring that up because he's awesome at it.
Yeah, Todd's awesome. And he's got a great sense of humor.
The other one that actually there were a few, but kind of going back to the API integration, being, 3D control systems, that's, one of our biggest challenges working with different OEMs. But I heard it over and over in different panels, including the panel I was speaking on. And I'm glad to see that there is a standards committee looking to progress that forward. But that is a theme. And then there was two, the IoT and then the MES, two sessions that talked about it. And then I heard it over and over in some.
I was going to bring up the MES session. I only caught the first part, and I saw Michelle there from 3D Control Systems. And is it Systems? Yeah, I want to make sure I got that right because they've evolved it. They're in the midst of an evolution at the company. The gentleman, and I can't recall his name, and I don't want to mispronounce it, but from 3 Year Mind was up there. There was Shane from Link 3D. There was it Don from Interior?
Alexander Donadue.
Alexander, yes. He was very suave. And he made a good point, which helps, I think, put everything into perspective. And I was like, ooh. And he said, there are a lot of MES companies here, but we're all competing against, not ourselves, we're competing against Excel, the Excel spreadsheet. And he
so
is
true.
What's that?
I love that.
Dead on.
Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity, and he's 1,000% right. And I would argue technology, software companies are competing against Excel, 3x5 index cards, whiteboards on walls. They call the wailing walls in a lot of manufacturing companies. There's so much room for opportunity for automation. And we have conversations about doing data science and analytics, and the companies that are even in a position to have enough data to analyze is less than like 5%. So hopefully one thing that I am encouraged by, the traditional manufacturers sort of had to learn that over time. And I would like the additive manufacturers, and I think most of them are, the successful ones are. Forecast is an example of one. GoProto's another that I'm familiar with, and Zigzag over in Europe. Others where they've come, many of them from that industry. They've brought that knowledge and experience over, and they're really leading the way. Hopefully the new up-and-coming businesses that start out in additive, born additive, don't try to recreate the wheel, but they look at the people that have done it right. And I think that's one thing from the software companies. They looked, and I see a lot of stuff that is leveraging years and years of experience from traditional manufacturing. So we're not starting, from scratch. So that's good.
Great points. Kristin, how do you feel about it? Kristin is done with AMUG at this point. I believe she's in her car on the way down to South Florida at the moment. No.
If you can't tell, I've lost my voice. So it's a sign, I think, of a successful AMUG is when you get to the end of the week and you have no voice left.
That is true. Andrew, how was any of the sessions that you might have attended, or what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so it was interesting what you guys were saying as far as a process versus printers, right? As kind of a theme for the week. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from AMUG being a first-timer is like having users around you. It's not that marketing story that you're seeing from the big OEMs at trade shows, right? Where you're actually talking about the back end and the front end of like what it takes to actually have a successful application. I'm biased, but my boss's presentation this afternoon on traditional manufacturing combined with additive, so welding printed parts together with different manufacturing to extend the boundaries of AM. We don't think of AM having boundaries, but there is, right? And so just being able to see people's light bulbs go off on like seeing how that marriage can happen between the traditional and additive. And when you're talking about like focusing on things that like leveraging on what has been used in other industries, I think at least in the standards and different things like that, I think of like PPAP for automotive, different things like that. A lot of it you can leverage the same thing, but you can't throw the same document, right? And so we find that a lot with our customers of they just throw the same document, and it's like half of this stuff doesn't apply to additive. It's the same thing, but it's a different thing that you're looking at. So just using what works, but making it so that it's applicable to additive.
Yeah, the dirty secret that I like to spread whenever I get the opportunity is that people look at additive as a squirrely process, and people say, well, we can't validate that and certify that for aerospace. We can't validate and certify that because the data the data and the geometry and this and chemistry. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you think that the CNC processes, which I would say I can't even imagine how they could be optimized any more than they are or more well documented, are any less squirrely, I mean, you literally have got to lock every single part of that digital communication all the way down to the bit in a spindle, an end mill in a spindle, to guarantee that. I mean, what happens when you're optimizing for tool wear? The machine is changing the code that is going to run the servos, and so. That's when I'm talking to people that are talking about doing the standards for additive, I'm like, you have to be realistic, because if you don't want to be realistic, then people can come over and start pulling the wool off of all of these urban legends around validation. It's like you got to do the best you can do, and I think additive's gotten a bad rap in some cases. Early on, it deserved it. I mean, it's still developing. But CNC technology was developing, every year at a rapid rate for probably 20 years until recently. So, but you're right, the documentation. I think a lot of smart people, and one of the things I heard was a lot of the sessions, people coming up with ideas for more sessions. I don't know if you could have a 2-week AMUG if anybody could survive it. You might have to go home and come back next month.
Probably not. Well, I think that was.
But there's a lot of topics that you can talk about that need to be talked about.
I think that was one of the things one of the few things I didn't like about this week is it felt like there was a lot more presentations that were an hour long, and I feel like we could have easily made them all 30 minutes to get more content in, and I think hours a bit long when we're this tired.
But I want to go back to what Andrew was saying, and actually, Anthony, you were saying the same thing. I mean, when I first learned how to program a CNC machine over 20 years ago. 10 years ago. It's very different than how it works today. Very, very different. And I like the fact that Andrew and his company have combined traditional technology with additive and then with your software team. And I think that 3-pronged approach in this industry is really what's going to win at the end of the day. And those of us who are in just additive and using all the learnings from the years in traditional manufacturing, because it didn't start out perfect either. No one was able to do PPAP, right off the beginning, or VMV, or any, verification and validation from the very beginning. It started slowly, and it just has exploded in the last 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. And now we have what we have with traditional manufacturing, and additives the same way. We're going to see the same curve. Now, how do we accelerate it? I think all of us being here, sharing our learnings and, about each other, but continuing to grab the learnings from before is important.
So what do you guys think about...
Your voice is really...
Is it quiet? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's quiet, yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you guys think about, when we're talking about standards, right, with additive versus CNC? Additive has a story behind the product a lot more than a CNC does, right, in terms of enablement or something cool or shiny, different things like that. When you talk about standards, I was talking to some people, and it sounds like most of the companies are still doing the same standards kind of development. It's not like how he described it is it's not a bunch of 3D printing nerds. We're ready for production in some cases, right? And it's like they're doing it on the back end because it's specific to their product, and it's kind of a niche, behind each individual application versus, say a CNC where it's like we're cutting metal. It's, what are your thoughts on that in terms of standards per product within a company versus industry standards?
Real quick, I wanted to link something I heard here from Hans Longer. I don't know who was talking about that earlier with me, but, he was talking about how there's all these machines out there now, and it's they're just, then all of a sudden we try to throw applications in the machine, and it's about the time that we start to build a machine around an application, and that's the kind of $1 billion investment to build a machine that's specifically made for one application. Sort of like there's, all type of normal machine out there that's built specifically for an application. That's where we need to be going forward in the future. And I think that's where things get more standardized when you lock down that application on the machine, obviously. So it'll be interesting going forward to see that whole part of our industry take off, because I believe that is the future. And I know we're wrapping up. We got about 5 minutes left in this session. But I don't know if I changed your question there, but does anybody want to talk a little bit about what their thoughts are about the future of AMUG, the future of our industry, wrapping this up?
Hey, Adam, real quick before we jump in there, I do want to share something.
Sure, definitely.
We had a quality. It was a weird kind of a quality workshop earlier this week that turned out to be incredibly successful. And I won't go into a lot of detail because I'd like to
That
allow
was the interactive session I was referring to. That was awesome.
Yeah. And no, thank you. I appreciate that. But I think the point for everyone here is we're going to be doing several things from that. We're going to be publishing a white paper that AMUG will actually publish and share all of the amazing knowledge that was shared by the 50 plus participants in that. And then ASTM is going to take the feedback back from that. And also, for those who don't know what standards are out there from ASTM, tie the risks that were identified, risk mitigation strategies that were identified, to the standards that are already out there, and or the working groups that are currently working on standards to help educate the industry on, understanding how to navigate risk and risk mitigation. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be probably a few months before we get it out. But anyway, just wanted to share that with the team.
Tell you that was a great session. And I know that session was always also asked to reproduce at Rapid, from what I heard. So I know by then I'm sure it'll be because you guys threw that together really well in a really quick amount of time, and I'd like to see that a little bit more refined. And when we get to Rapid, have another session like that. It'll be great.
Yeah, we're definitely having conversations with ASTM to reproduce it in both Rapid and potentially Formnext in both digital and in-person formats. So more on that to come.
Thank you, Roxanne. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour with 3 minutes left. I'd like to thank everyone who has been joining us. Any last comments from the circle here? We'll start to my left, Ben.
No, only final comment is that I think that, this community has really shown how people coming together can have an impact, right? And it's always been the best thing about AMUG, right? The social times, the breaks in between the sessions as much as anything else. And I'm just glad to be back out on the road and able
Amen.
to see people, right? With our company's travel approval process, we only got approved on Thursday last week, to actually be able to come out. So yeah, really happy to be here and so happy to meet everyone and see everyone.
Definitely. Thanks for joining. How about you, Rachel? How are you feeling over there?
Oh, I'm sort of kicking back with my sunglasses on right now. I've got nothing deep like Ben does, but just looking to the future, I just think we're going to see a ton more startups in the industry and a shit ton of acquisitions. 3D Systems went and announced 2 acquisitions this morning, right? So I think we're just going to see that just build and mushroom, right, over the next couple of years. It's going to be crazy.
Yep. Andrew?
Now I'm off mute. No, I don't really have anything too much. One other cool product that I saw was in the BASF booth for the high-low shoe. That's launching on Monday. So it's a completely additive and traditional put together, but it's a pretty cool product.
Sure is. Kristin, still here?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just want to second what Ben said really about, I think it's really nice everyone getting together. I think we've had, I've met more people over the last year over Zoom than I've ever met in in-person events, and that's been really cool. It's been awesome, because you have a lot more access to it. But I forgot how valuable events like this can be in terms of accelerating and advancing innovation. And I think we're coming out of it with, I think the 3D printing industry's got a lot of momentum right now, from, all the money that's getting invested, all of the exposure we got through PPE type stuff. And I think how important it is for us to get together to start to really capitalize on that momentum.
Couldn't agree more. Michelle, how about yourself?
I love the intimate discussions, and I talked to Roxanne several times in the past, and it was the first time that I actually met her in person. Mm-hmm. So those kind of discussions, and I love, it's great. And she helped me out with some stuff, and then others that I just hadn't seen. And, there's that yearning for connection with people. And so that's the first thing. The second one is just seeing all the technology emanate to, coming through, through COVID. If there's some positivity coming out of COVID, it's the fact that there's a lot of new technology out there that's coming forward. And I think we're going to see more as we go, towards the end of the year. People buckled down, it looked like, and invested in R&D, and then this M&A activity.
Good more, Anthony.
Real quick, I'm going to go real fast. A plug: BASF Coatings. I haven't heard anybody mention that. Was awesome. I'm not an expert in that area by any means, but I was really impressed. I saw stuff I'd never seen before that are going to extend the applications in additive, and coatings is huge in traditional manufacturing. So that was interesting. I'm looking forward to learn more about that, particularly this fall. Also, like the other presenters here, I was walking by the first day I was here. Zach Holcomb was walking by.
Yep, got my picture with Zach.
I mean, the guy's like he's like a celebrity, and all of a sudden he's online. You see, because we haven't been able, since most of us have not been able to travel. everyone follows people to sort of find out what's going on and stay connected. So it was really cool. And I just thanked him for doing it, because it takes a lot of time and dedication and commitment to do it. For the rest of the folks out there that are doing those vlogs and YouTube channels, keep it up. We all appreciate it, even if we're not messaging you on your videos. Keep up the good work, and because it really does, I think, do a lot for the industry. So
yeah, I've had a podcast going this whole pandemic, and had Anthony on there.
That's where we first
Kristin
met.
On there, yeah. We've all been virtual everything, man. So yeah, it's been wild, but it's been a pleasure to meet everybody and do those things virtually, and then to see them live now. It's been wonderful. But again, we're here at AMUG 2021, and this is a wrap up of the events. Again, this was sponsored by Dyndrite, so thank you very much for doing that, and thank you all for joining us. We're going to be signing out now. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Yep.
Thanks, Adam.